Evening. Well, in theory, the Championship has had a week off, although the reality is, for some clubs, it's been busier than normal. Keith Millen, of course, has parted company with Bristol City, who have yet to name his replacement, while just yesterday, Steve Cottrell said goodbye to Portsmouth to become the new manager of Nottingham Forest. So there's plenty for our studio guest Leroy Rosenior to get through this evening. And here's a glimpse of what's coming up from the N-Power Football League. It was third versus first at Pride Park today in the battle of the two Nigels. Clough's Derby are flying high this season, but they faced a tough assignment against the team at the top, Adkins Southampton. Steve Cottrell is on the move. It's bye-bye Pompey and hello Nottingham. We'll see how Forest players reacted to the news of Cottrell's arrival when they travelled to the West Midlands to take on Coventry. So where does this leave Portsmouth then? Well, before they assess their managerial options, Pompey had a game to prepare for with Barnsley the visitors to Fratton Park.
There's no such managerial upheaval here at Roots Hall. His team have won 5 league games in a row. He's looking for promotion with his 5th different club. Well, with Paul Sturrock's Southend United, who are hoping to consolidate their position at the top of League 2.
We start tonight in the East Midlands and the game between Derby County and Southampton. Third place Derby had a setback against Leicester City in their last outing, but 6 wins from their 10 league games have propelled Nigel Clough's side into the upper echelons of the Championship. As for the leader Southampton, well, they've spent the last fortnight enjoying their best start to a season for 52 years. At Pride Park for us was Martin Fisher.
An attendance and an atmosphere that would have many in the Premier League green with envy. It's a 32,000 sellout at Pride Park as 2 of the early pace setters in the Championship go head to head. Derby County sitting 3rd, boasting their best start for 40 years against top of the table Southampton, off to a flyer as they bid for back-to-back promotions. John Brayford misses his first game since joining Derby in the summer of 2010. The fullback has a thigh injury. Russell Anderson comes in for his first start since the opening day. Steve Davis has scored in 4 of Derby's games here. Southampton have lost the talented Adam Lallana due to a foot problem, but David Connolly is fit again. Schneiderlin and Chaplow preferred to Derrida and Hammond in midfield. Top scorer Ricky Lambert has got 6 in his last 5 games. Forward by Richardson, taken by Connolly. Schneiderlin for Cork. Ward's challenge, and he's chasing that from across. It came off Ward last. First the loose ball is Hendrick. Good start here by Derby. Davies can let it run. Ben Davies! Great save by the keeper, Robinson! Derby take the lead just after the 2-minute mark. Robinson's first goal since the end of August. Good work initially by Ward. Hendrick picking up the pieces. Steve Davis wants to let it run. Ben Davies denied by Kelvin. And then in the right place at the right time, Theo Robinson to tap it home. The league leaders behind early doors at Pride Park. Just the start Nigel Clough wanted. Connolly for Chaplow. Trying to tease one in for De Prado, and Roberts clearly didn't get a shout from anybody at all. Neither his captain nor his goalkeeper. And how Gareth Roberts will hope nothing comes from this corner kick. Teasing it in. It's come a long way. It's come to Lambert. And Derby unable to clear their lines at the moment. And in the end, Connolly's header had no power in it at all. And it's a simple stop for Fielding. But this is steady pressure from Southampton. And Ward twice in the way, but Southampton still come away with the ball. Lambert. Oh, it's a lovely ball. Connolly waits in the middle, that's too deep. De Prado can't get there in time. And Southampton have to build again. Fox, Chaplow, De Prado. Lovely football. Fielding, what a save. What's a save, Frank Fielding. The pressure is building from the league leaders. It's a lovely move, this. And De Prado bringing the best out of Fielding. Gulli de Prado to take. Font, Hoyvelt, ready to make their moves. Pull back for Cork to let it go. Connolly with the shot blocked. Cork with the cross. Font is in there, off the line and booted away by the goalkeeper Fielding. Well, Jose Font so close here, and it's Steve Davis, Derby's top scorer, who gets his body in the way. One of several white-shirted figures on the line, and Fielding puts his size 12s through it. Great movement about this Southampton team. Chaplow, that's a free kick. Challenge on Connolly. Roberts it was, just trying to poke that one away. Caught the left ankle of the former Irish international. It's a massive Derby wall. It's Lambert. It's Chaplow, and it's over. Well, every chance that has fallen his way has fallen to his weaker foot, his right. Lambert just trying to drill this under the wall. It fell invitingly for Chaplow. Fielding had it covered. Come on Derby is the scream from best part of 30,000 fans as they sent Southampton just turning the screw again. This is Cork, Connolly far side, Chaplow and de Prado in the box, but this is Lambert, given space, given time, Ricky Lambert, tame effort. And just trying to curl this one beyond Fielding into the far corner. 6 goals in his last 5 games for Ricky Lambert. All Southampton. Derby can't keep the ball, but they have retained their resilience. But for how much longer? Lambert, Connolly. This is Lambert. This is dangerous. Lambert, 1-1. You just knew it had to come eventually, and you just knew it was likely to come from the boots of Ricky Lambert. His 11th goal of the season, his 9th in the Championship. Derby's stubborn resistance eventually crumbles. Lambert and Connolly with the approach. Sized up the situation, Lambert, and drills it beyond Fielding. Roberts for Ward. And Roberts with a chance to get beyond Richardson. That's a great ball! Robinson, Ben Davis. Well, it was a terrific centre, fired across by Gareth Roberts, and it almost fell into the path here of Robinson. Kelvin Davis did just enough, and then Ben Davis denied by the sizable backside of Schneiderlin. And Derby saved their best to the end. Font continues to dominate most things in the air back there. And Steve Davis has a blow to the head here. And Mark Brown rather sensibly calls a temporary halt to proceedings. And here's how Steve Davis collected the knock. It looks as though there is some kind of indentation just above his left eyebrow there. Maybe that's what the problem is. Safe to say he will have one heck of a headache when he wakes up in the morning. Hoyvelt away. Ben Davis. Bryson trying to get in the penalty area. Ben Davis going for goal himself. Now that came off a Southampton foot, and that's a corner. Fourth Derby corner. Ben Davis with it. Up goes Shackle. De Prado with the clearance. Well, Jason Shackle hasn't scored for Derby since the opening day. He won't have come much closer than this. De Prado with the clearance on the line. On by Lambert, on by Connolly. Hendrick got in the way of Roberts. This is De Ridder. Oh, it's a lovely cross, they're queuing up. Away by Shackle off the line. Derby survive as Lambert tried to tee up somebody wearing yellow in the 6-yard box. How close was that for Southampton? It's a lovely centre from De Ridder, who just stands it up. Lambert with the header across. And Derby scramble it away. Would it be a fair comment to say that the Derby of last season would have buckled way sooner than the 60th minute?
Possibly, but we hang on in there just through our honesty and endeavour, really. Some youngsters who are still improving and learning. Mark O'Brien throws his head at anything. Could have done a bit better just leading up to the goal.
Listen, we know the league table is going to fluctuate. We've had 11 games now, a long way to go, as everyone well understands, but we've got the right principles on how we want to play football. You've seen it today. We pass the ball about, we try and play out from the back. We've got good football players. We do create opportunities. It's entertaining for our supporters, who were yet again magnificent today.
Beginning of the season, I wanted to prove to myself more than anyone else that I can play at this level and I can score goals, so I'm very happy with the way it's gone up to now, for me personally and the team.
You give somebody like him, put him in that position and he's going to score 9 times out of 10. It was a great finish. As I say, we had a few opportunities ourselves after that. Ben Davies, one cleared off the line, and I thought we were worth a point at least.
So a point apiece at Pride Park. It was a great open game, this one, Leroy. 3rd v 1st is how it was billed, and it certainly looked like it.
It was enthralling from start to finish. Derby started off a rare old pace and put Southampton on the back foot, but then Southampton took control. And you thought they were going to run away with it. And right up until the last minute, it could have gone either way.
Derby got off to a dream start after only 3 minutes through Theo Robinson. Suggestions from the Southampton camp, though, that there was a hint of offside. What do you think?
Well, yes, there certainly was. But when I first saw this, I didn't see it either. I had to wait for the replay because Theo is half a yard offside, and then he comes back into an offside position just after Ben Davies takes a shot. And I think Nigel Atkins was a little bit upset with it. He was more eagle-eyed than me and spotted it the first few minutes. Derby deserved that because of the way they approached the game, and certainly put Southampton on the back foot.
Southampton then took the game to Derby County. Everything good that Southampton did, Ricky Lambert was at the centre of it all. So it wasn't exactly surprising to see him score the equaliser. No,
I mean, they passed the ball extremely well, and this was a lovely move, and I've seen it so many times with that Southampton. Good one-touch play in and around the box, and nice and slick, and a fantastic finish. You don't expect him to miss there. He's got great feet, and he's got a great goal-scoring record as well.
Interesting, we heard from Ricky Lambert saying that he's looking to prove himself at this level. He's scored 11 so far this season. Look at the totals of goals, 21 before that, 31, 29. It's 90 in all in 3¼ seasons. He is your proverbial goal machine.
He certainly is, but there were doubts over Ricky Lambert about his pace, about whether he was combative enough. But I've seen Ricky, since he was a young lad, and he's come through the divisions, and he's always been able to finish. And I think he's just got better and better with age. And you said about if he gets in a position, either with either foot or with his head, he'll always hit the target. And he's shown his quality.
We should also wish Steve Davis the very best as he recovers from that fracture above the eyebrow. He's now out for 6 weeks, incidentally. Let's round up the rest of the action then from the top end of the Championship. We start with the only unbeaten team in the division, Middlesbrough. Borough began the day in second, but their season has stalled a little of late on the back of 3 goalless draws. On Saturday, they took on Millwall.
The arrival of a team second from bottom in the table seemed to offer Middlesbrough the perfect chance to get back to winning ways. Kenny Jackett's men had taken just 1 point on the road all season, the Championship's worst away record. So it was no huge surprise to see Borough break their barren spell. Scott McDonald teeing up Barry Robson, stepping aside as the midfielder did the rest. That fine strike had the home fans in high spirits, but there was a warning before the break to take nothing for granted, as Millwall new boy Patrick Adjemang, on loan from QPR, picked out Liam Trotter. All season it had been the same story for the Lions. When they'd fallen behind, they'd always finished up with nothing. So a second Borough goal would surely kill the contest. The bar came to the rescue before McDonald's second bite was unconvincingly palmed away by David Ford. And then came the sucker punch. Tony Mowbray warned his Borough players that Millwall were useful from set pieces, and Trotter proved him right. Suddenly Middlesbrough's high flyers were set for another damaging draw. Deep into stoppage time they almost broke that sequence. Haris Faroum really unlucky. 11 games unbeaten is Borough's best start to a season for more than a century, but their overriding emotion at the finish was sheer frustration.
Ian Holloway's Blackpool arrived in East London on the back of a 5-0 thumping of Bristol City last time out, who were up against the West Ham side, enjoying their best start to a season in 8 years. It's a small matter of 77 seasons since Blackpool last tasted victory away at West Ham, and that miserable record looks set to continue as soon as John Carew rose highest to meet Julian Faubert's inviting cross. A disastrous attempt at the offside trap gave the latest addition to Sam Allardyce's squad the chance to make it too. Sam Baldock making his first major impression on the Hammers faithful with a composed finish. And a clear indication as to who may be celebrating an immediate return to the top flight come May came 4 minutes later. Again Blackpool's defending comical, and again Baldock the beneficiary. But the Hammers weren't finished there. George McCartney did all the hard work down the left-hand side. Matt Gilts could only palm to Jack Collison, who scored a first league goal in just shy of 2 years. West Ham's impressive start continues. They're up to second.
Overall, we got beaten by the better team. I think they defended better than us, miles better than us, and they attacked better than us. And my defence second half found it very difficult to deal with Baldock's movement and Carew's strength. So we were beaten by a better team today.
You know, two players up front were the best two in our team today, and that's, you know, always a good sign for a team if it's going to get the top end of the table and stay there.
Soaring for the first few weeks, Brighton are now getting to grips with the reality of their new division. It's tough, and in terms of travelling teams, they don't come much tougher than Hull, who've lost in just 2 of their last 23 away trips. Nigel Pearson's side could count themselves unlucky to draw on the road for the 3rd time running. Aaron McLean couldn't have gone closer before Robbie Brady sent Casper Ankergrim full length. Albion did have their chances too, most notably Craig McCall-Smith putting Adriano Basso to the test. For the first time in more than a year and a half, Brighton were destined to draw a blank on home soil. Thanks to that crossbar again, Hull were frustrated too. Robert Corran denied as the game remained stubbornly goalless.
Michael Chopra joined his Ipswich teammates for the journey west to the Welsh capital. This the first time the former Bluebird had faced his former employers since his summer move to Suffolk. But it was Cardiff's 6'4" French striker Rudy Gustave who landed the first blow, his first league goal for the club owing much to Aaron Gunnarsson's long throw. Ipswich have had the better of Cardiff their last 5 league outings, and it wasn't long before they recovered here. Jason Scotland levelling proceedings on the half hour with this excellent strike. Ipswich began to dominate possession, and soon after the restart their superiority was rewarded. The curse of the returning former player in evidence this time, Chopra with his 5th league goal of the season after Carlos Edwards crossed in. But Cardiff rallied in search of an equaliser and were soon to benefit from the game's controversial incident. After initially waving away Cardiff appeals for a Carlos Edwards handball, referee Dean Whitestone thought it best to phone a friend. And after much deliberation with his assistant, penalty was the verdict and Cardiff had a lifeline. Peter Whittingham was the man to take responsibility to rescue an unlikely point and spark debate over what proved the game's crucial moment.
I think both of us probably frustrated we didn't win it, but I think that we started very well. Ipswich had a good middle part of the game, and I think we finished very well. So I think there was chances at both ends, and as you say, there was maybe a couple of decisions that could have fallen either way as well.
The referee's given them a lifeline, and I don't like blaming referees because they have got a difficult job to do. But at times, the lad looked like a frightened rabbit in the headlights.
Well, Paul, Joel clearly unhappy then with Cardiff's equalising goal right at the end. We've got to look at this because we clearly have a bit of sympathy for him here.
You have more than sympathy. You should be more than unhappy, because it's an awful decision. The ball looks like it's going out, and Earnshaw just keeps it in. It hits Carlos Edwards' hand. There's nothing he can do about it. And even Earnshaw doesn't appeal for it, and he's surprised. He thinks it's going to be a corner. And he's as surprised as anybody that the referee in the end changes his mind and gives a penalty. And in the end, it was, you'd say it did cost Ipswich because Cardiff hadn't got the equaliser through a penalty through Whittingham. But I'm sure Paul George would have expected the 3 points.
A much-needed home performance from West Ham. Interestingly, we spoke about Ricky Lambert making the step up to the Championship. The same goes for Sam Baldock. And he's at a big club now, there's no doubts about it, at West Ham United. So huge relief for a young man, younger than Ricky Lambert, to get off the mark in his new colours.
It was always going to happen. He's a top-quality player, and he's going to get better. And he can finish. He's got confidence. He can finish from inside the box, outside the box. And the combination with Carew up front, I think, is going to be really important. I feel that he'll bring the best out of John Carew, as well as John Carew's experience, with a big part in his career. But at the moment, he's got his first 2 goals, and he'll go on from there. And West Ham will just set down the marker.
I know West Ham fans are relieved that Sam Allardyce went with 2 up top, and that's the kind of result that makes you stand up and take notice that they could be clicking now.
Well, West Ham supporters want West Ham to say, look, we're going to play 4-4-2, you come and beat us because we think we've got the best players. And I think that was a message that West Ham put out there today, and it's going to be tough to deal with.
Now then, what a week it's been at Nottingham Forest and at Portsmouth for that matter. Forest, of course, have been looking for a new manager. Well, in the last 48 hours, they found him. Steve Cotterill might not have been enjoying the best of seasons at Portsmouth, but Forest identified him as the man to replace Steve McLaren at the City Ground. Cotterill, you may remember, knows the city of Nottingham pretty well, having led Notts County to promotion 2 seasons ago. Well, having put pen to paper on Friday, the first bit of business for the new man was to watch his new Forest side at Coventry.
Too soon for Steve Cotterill to take charge of the team at Coventry. He left that job to Rob Kelly, preferring to assess the challenge he faces from the stands. And early on, the outlook was good. Forest fired up with a new man to impress. Ishmael Miller refused to be dragged back. Joe Murphy's agility kept it all square. His Forest counterpart Lee Camp was having a quieter day, but reacted brilliantly after the break to keep out Richard Wood. Coventry had their towels up, pushing forward in search of their first win in 5. And Lukas Jutkiewicz couldn't be stopped. The home side stayed on edge until the end, with keeper Murphy stretchered off, leading to an anxious 10 minutes of stoppage time. Jutkiewicz rattled the woodwork as they tried to ease the tension, but 1 goal was enough. Forest dropping into the relegation zone just as Cotterill prepares to take the reins.
We started the game very brightly, a couple of half chances, and in that spell, when you're where we are at the moment, you're hoping to take them, but we didn't. And then it was a fairly even game. They scored from a ball in our box. I don't think there was any lack of spirit or determination from our players, but we didn't, at times, really create enough.
So Steve Cotterill sees his new side lose then, but what of Portsmouth, the team he left behind? Well, Pompey took on Barnsley in the evening game with Stuart Gray and Guy Whittingham in temporary charge of the team.
This is Nathan Doyle. He thinks about it. And Butterfield! Turned away by Henderson. Here's Ricardo Vaz-Tey there for Barnsley. Still Vaz-Tey. Gets the crossing, wins the corner. Well, the first save there for either goalkeeper is one which Henderson is equal to, but only just. Now Hassel again, allowed to cross halfway and surge with purpose. And here goes O'Brien. O'Brien's cross, great ball into Halford, clears Vaz-Tey! His last English goal 6 years ago for Bolton versus Birmingham in the Premier League, and this was, for him, a really presentable chance. Varney, Tal Ben Haim, Luke Varney. Varney towards David Norris here. It's Norris! It's a really good save from Steele, who reaches up there and just pours it away. Here's Halford. And the finish there was almost cute, almost perfection there from Norris, but the goalkeeper had to reach up here and get his hands behind it. Now Butterfield! Oh, great hit, comes back off the post. Both teams having first half chances. Neither have scored yet, but they're getting closer now, aren't they, Barnsley? From range here, with Henderson beaten, the post takes a real battering here from his strike. Tal Ben Haim. Eric Kusaklek. Aidan Mullins, David Norris! Another really good flowing Pompey move. Halford. And again Greg Halford here. Towards Varney. Wills challenging him, breaks into Benjani's path. And Lawrence across here for Huseklepp! Now is that across the line? Referee and the assistants say no. Was this the right decision? Huseklepp got the touch, not a clean touch in truth. And yes, Foster in front of, not over the line. Defender here is Jim McNulty with Benjani. And that battle is won by the Zimbabwean. Benjani wrestled down, was he? By Drinkwater. No foul. Now is a foul, and free kick for Barnsley, but this game now has a real tempo and a real pace about it. But he's a handful, he's such a strong man, Benjani. Varney, great acceleration, good ball in two, might come out to Huseklepp. And for Norris! But Norris here, look at this. The touch, the strike, instantaneous, the goal, simply fabulous. Norris with a beauty. And Kitson chases Lawrence's rather hopeful pass in the centre. Varney and also Huseklepp. Here's Dave Kitson across for Varney! Oh, Pompey with a rapid double. Fashioned by Kitson, taken by Varney. And Barnsley, who had been so good up to this point, suddenly, in the blink of an eye, are 2 goals down. Park. Onto Butterfield, deflection, it's looping, it's turned over by Henderson. Really good backpedaling recovery save there from Stephen Henderson. This was going in. Came off Greg Halford's calf.
You know, we needed 3 points today to get everybody back on track after what's happened. I think it was the most important thing today.
Goals change games. They got the first goal and, you know, they ran the game out quite comfortably as a result, as well as our injuries. So, you know, like I said, goals change games, and if we had scored first, I'm sure that we would have won the game.
I have to ask you, obviously there's going to be a lot of speculation about who's going to take the manager's job. Are you interested in it?
No, not at all. Not at all. We just want to, you know, help steer the ship until they bring the right person in.
So Guy Whittingham there ruling himself out of the Pompey job. It's been a crazy 48 hours for those at Forest and at Portsmouth. Let's start at the City Ground, Leroy. So in comes Frank Clark as the new chairman, legendary figure there in the East Midlands. But how will the appointment of Steve Cotterill go down with the Forest fans, do you think?
I think he'll go down all right. I think it was a little bit of surprise that he came out of the hat. But he's enthusiastic, he's a great motivator, he's a good coach, a good organiser. So I think he'll turn the doubters, the few doubters there are, around very quickly. So
Steve saw his new players in action against Coventry. So if you were in his shoes, what would be one of the first things on top of that list?
I mean, they've been a little bit all over the place. When I've seen them play the back five, I've seen them play a back four, I get that back four in place straight away. You know, you've got Clint Hill on loan, you've got Morgan, you've got Chambers, and you've got Gunter. That's a decent back four, but they just seem to be struggling. And they struggled on crosses in this game. You saw the goal there from Duktovic. And I just feel that if he gets that back four in place and works from there, he can certainly move that club forward. And the relationship with Frank Clark is going to be really important. You know, if those two work together, I think that club could move forward very quickly.
As for Pompey, the team he left behind, they're in a far more stable position than they were when he first arrived. This is a great job for somebody to have, isn't it?
It's a terrific job. Just look at the players they've got there. I mean, that's a great goal from Norris. That's top quality on his weaker foot. But, you know, you look at the players, the experience, you know, his cannons there, Liam Lawrence, Benjani Kitson, and then the young players like Jason Pearce. There's a lot to work with. And I just feel that, you know, Guy said they've been playing well and not getting the results. So that's a big result for them. You know, if they can get on a roll, I think they can move up the table very quickly.
So to put you on the spot, who do you see getting the Portsmouth job?
Not being funny, I think Billy Davies would be ideal.
So like, almost like a straight swap between the two.
Well, Billy's worked at Derby, you know, he's worked at Nottingham Forest clubs, not unlike Portsmouth in terms of stature. And he's worked with top quality players, and there's a lot of good players at Portsmouth. I think Billy could go there and have a real impact. Why not?
If that happens, it could be interesting. On to the rest of the Championship now. First up, a quick look back at the game that took place on Friday night between a couple of Yorkshire cousins, Doncaster Rovers and Leeds United.
And a chance here for Snodgrass to deliver a cross, maybe a chance to test Kirkland. Oh, it's Danny Pugh! Leeds United have taken the lead. 1-0 Leeds. The free kick delivered from close to that corner flag, and he was completely unmarked on the edge of the 6-yard box. He just dropped off, didn't he? Sneaked away from everybody. This is White. That's not a bad cross. Defended at the near post. This is Howson. Oh, that's great! What a great goal! McCormack scores the second for Leeds. That's 10 now for the season for the Scottish international striker, and it was a great piece of improvisation. The ball chipped up by Keogh. He wasn't offside, and how quick he was to execute that acrobatic overhead scissors kick over the despairing grasp of Chris Kirkland. And you've got to say, it's no more than Leeds deserve. And it is Snodgrass who takes the corner. Oh, and that's a solid header, and it's 3. Well, he's been a tower of strength at the back, Tom Lees, and now in the opposition penalty area, he's got his name on the score sheet. It was a great leap and a solid header. O'Connor. Seems a long way forward now for Doncaster. Oh, and they haven't dealt with that, and here's number 4, comes back up the underside of the crossbar. Well, what were they doing? Andy Keogh getting in behind that defence, just Kirkland to beat. Struck it very well, but it's come back smack off the face of the crossbar.
There was nothing in the game until we conceded from a, Joe just gave a free kick away in the corner flag, and it's just a cross into the box, and the lad side foots it in 5 yards out. We don't get chances like that, and good teams don't concede goals like that.
If you want to do anything in this league, you're going to have to win games away from home. We've got a decent record at Ellen Road, and we're quite comfortable playing there, but away from home, you say we're threatened a couple of times. West Ham probably should have got something. Ipswich, we lost, but we should have got something. But you have to get the points on the board, and it's, especially the next few weeks, we've got midweek games come up as well. So you have 3 games in a week, and the points tally can quickly go forward.
Dougie Freedman brought his Crystal Palace side to Vicarage Road, hoping to improve on a recent run of results, which has seen the Eagles win just 1 of their last 6. The Hornets were looking to seal their first back-to-back home league wins in 7 months, and with a width of a post away from an ideal start, Joe Garner the unlucky man. There wasn't much to choose between the two until Palace took the lead in some style. Sean Scannell's beautifully weighted ball still left Wilfred Zaha with plenty to do. It was a wonderful finish to beat Scott Loach, and you can see why he has his suitors. The highly rated 18-year-old then had a chance of a second after a mistake from David Murphy, but this time it was the wrong side of the upright. Palace had to wait until time added on to seal the points. Jermaine Easter the man to provide the second outstanding goal of the afternoon. The Championship's perennial relegation strugglers moved up to 8th after this win. Watford have lost 3 of their last 4.
Bristol City are gearing up for a busy few days off the field. The man who replaced sack boss Keith Millen should be known by the end of the week, according to Steve Wigley, who's running the show in the meantime. Not that it's been much of a show so far this season for the fans at Ashton Gate, but at least Neil Kilkenny's early efforts suggested City were in the mood to finally notch up their first home win. In the Peterborough goal, Paul Jones was a busy man in the first half. The keeper on his toes again to keep Brett Pitman at bay. City weren't playing like a side propping up the rest of the table. Albert Adoma, for one, seemed to be brimming with confidence as he made strides again towards the posh goal. Peterborough manager Darren Ferguson admitted his players were off the pace in the first half, though Tommy Rowe almost pinched the lead. And City's inability to take their chances would eventually come back to haunt them. 6 minutes after the break, Peterborough made a mockery of the home side's dominance. George Boyd's change of direction unlocked the defence. Now Posh were firm favourites to see the job through. They've been boosted pre-match by Lee Tomlin's unexpectedly rapid return from an ankle injury. It certainly looks to be fully healed. That magnificent goal sealed City's fate. They threatened a late comeback as Marvin Elliott, fresh from his international debut with Jamaica in midweek, got on the score sheet. But even with a reggae boy on their books, the bottom club just can't find their rhythm. That's 5 defeats from 6.
In 14th and 15th place respectively before this one, it was the meeting of two of the league's surprise underachievers so far when Burnley took on Reading at Turf Moor. And with only 1 clean sheet in 24 games in all competitions, Burnley's cohesion at the back is rarely convinced so far this season. They had the assistant referee to thank for ruling out Adam Lafondra's early goal for offside after Lee Grant flapped at a Joby McAnuff cross. Adam Federici dealt much better with Ross Wallace's deflected effort soon after, but not much else to shout about in an uneventful first half. And just as the game was drifting along to a tame conclusion, Reading's Jay Tabb was caught square in the face by clearance from the Burnley goalkeeper. Tabb required lengthy treatment and left the field in a neck brace. Jem Karachan the man to replace him. Brian McDermott's side were then denied what looked a clear-cut penalty. Adam Amagu the man to upend Adam Lafondra. Reading's players not impressed by referee Phil Gibbs' decision. But just as it looked like everything would go against them, Reading would have the final say. In the 9th minute of time added on for Tabb's injury, his replacement Karachan slid in for the winner. Reading now unbeaten in 5, and their season finally looks up and running.
Yeah, that Reading goal, almost as late as this show, but not quite. We saw some terrific goals too from Friday night. We're going to pick out a couple for you from Vicarage Road for Crystal Palace, who, unlike last season, Leroy, they're firing them in from all angles this time.
There certainly are some good young players there who've been managed very well by Dougie Freedom, and Zaha's one of them. And there's no surprise when he can do that sort of thing. And this one, somebody who's slightly more experienced, Jermaine Easter, again, it's a top quality finish. And there just seems a real pride around Selhurst Park at the moment about these players. I mean, if you drive through South London, I'm a South London boy, you see boards saying South London born and bred with Palace players, and they are really coming through. You know, Curtis Fleming's there, I know him very well. He's extremely enthusiastic at the best of times, but he's extremely enthusiastic about the young players coming through, like Williams and Klein as well. So lots of good stuff going on there.
Sean Scannell as well, of course.
Yes.
Bristol City remain bottom, coming unstuck against Peterborough. The luck's against you, because even Darren Ferguson said they were lucky to come away with the points. Huge decision, this one, for the board now, and Derek McInnes from St Johnstone, he's touted for the job, isn't he? Do you expect him to get it?
Well, he's on his way. Apparently he's going for talks. There's a couple of others involved as well. I think Sean O'Driscoll and maybe Mark Robbins, and I think they'll all be good managers. I think the players that maybe just hit a bit of a wall. They need a new voice. Hopefully that'll come very quickly. The board are taking their time over it to make sure they get it right. They need to get it right. The important thing, the City fans stayed with the team today. Even though they lost, the City fans showed their appreciation for that performance.
League One now. Leaders Charlton went into the weekend 3 points clear of the team in second, Sheffield Wednesday. Well, with Wednesday not playing until Sunday in the Steel City derby, Charlton had the chance to increase their lead at the top when they faced Stevenage.
Given Charlton's dominance of League One this season, it was somehow appropriate that it took an Addicks old boy to finally sink them. Stacey Long learnt his trade with Charlton, but his deflected goal denied them a new club record. Had Charlton avoided defeat in Hertfordshire, it would have meant a 13-game unbeaten start for Chris Powell's men. But Bradley Wright Phillips' near miss suggested it wasn't to be their day. Stevenage have also defeated Sheffield Wednesday this season and tend to do better against the big boys. John Ashton came close to a second for the hosts, who had lost each of their previous 4 matches. It took a magnificent save from Chris Day to finally deny Charlton. Leon Court was the unlucky man. Another scout for Stevenage, who'll wish they could play like this every week.
We've beaten some big sides here, in recent times. It's no surprise to us to win the game. I think the disappointment from our point of view is that we've dropped our level too often in recent weeks. But it's nice to get back to winning ways, and it's nice to beat the league leaders.
Our last 4 games, the goals we conceded are 2 penalties and 2 deflected goals, which are quite hard to take. So, I suppose when you're in the run that we are and the run that Stevenage were in, it's always going to take something that just deflection off someone's backside or whatever.
it goes in, and that's what's happened to us today.
Following his 2-goal performance for Scotland's under-21s earlier this week, Lee Clark restored Jordan Rhodes to the starting 11, and it proved to be a good move, but it was Rhodes' strike partner Alan Lee who opened the scoring for the West Yorkshire side. Then it was Rhodes' turn to repay the faith shown in him by Clark. The 21-year-old raced onto Lee's delicate through ball for his first of the match. Huddersfield were rampant, creating chances at will, and with Exeter struggling to deal with Lee's physical presence, he came close to adding his second. Rhodes' last hat-trick was against Exeter 2 years ago this week, and that was a feat he was to repeat. More poor defending allowed him to collect his 4th double of the campaign, much to the delight of the visiting fans. In the final minute, Rhodes capped a terrific personal performance, nodding in his 9th in 8 starts to claim the match ball. The Terriers' unbeaten run in the league is now 38 matches as they move second in the table.
MK Dons were putting their unbeaten home record on the line against a Bournemouth side who were looking to make it 4 games undefeated on their travels. And some slack marking allowed Angelo Balanta the chance to put his side 1-0 up 3 minutes before half-time. Then, just after the hour, the home side returned the favour, Wes Thomas given all the space he needed to head home an equaliser. If the marking for that was generous, what happened with 17 minutes remaining was positively charitable, as Gary Mackenzie gifted possession to a grateful Thomas, who fired his side into the lead with his 4th goal in a cherry shirt. However, it was a lead that didn't last long. Clinton Morrison had 2 goals in 2 games before today, and with 10 minutes to play he made it 3-3. The Sheffield Wednesday loanee again benefiting from some suspect marking. Only 1 win in 7 now for Carl Robinson's side.
I thought we had enough chance to win 2 games, and then horrific defending for 2 goals. And it's funny how hard we have to wait for all our goals, and we gift teams their 2 goals.
On a day of shock results in League One, Walsall's defeat of Preston was another coupon buster. From Kevin Hurst's peach of a pass, Alex Nichols got the only goal for a Sadler's side who'd won only 1 of their previous 11 league games. Preston, who also lost Neil Mellor to injury, couldn't even make an extra man count. Walsall held on despite Dave Martin collecting a 2nd yellow card with 20 minutes still remaining. It's now back-to-back defeats for Preston, for whom that 7-match winning streak suddenly feels like a distant memory.
A local derby at the B2 net as Chesterfield and Notts County met for the 2nd time in 11 days. Ben Burgess leapt highest to set the visitors on their way after 21 minutes. County's 2nd came before the break, with the Sparrites back 4 flat-footed. Alan Judge raced onto Neil Bishop's through ball, his finish clinical. John Sheridan shuffled the pack and went to a 4-3-3 formation, and that change brought a swift reward. Facing the club he started the season with, Craig Westcar cut the deficit with his 3rd of the campaign. With time ticking down, the Sparrites pushed for an equaliser, but it was County who took advantage of space at the back. Lee Hughes chased down a lost cause, and Sam Sodgy's instincts allowed him to score at the 2nd attempt. 1 defeat in 8 now for Martin Allen's men, who've moved into the division's top 3.
Brentford haven't won in front of their own fans since the 5-0 hammering of Leyton Orient in August, but they weren't without their chances to win this one against Scunthorpe. First, Noel McGinn's cross evaded everyone, but was kept alive by Craig Woodman, whose inch-perfect cross found the head of David Clarkson, but he failed to find the target. With 20 minutes to go, Juve Rosler's side were given a helping hand in their quest to break the deadlock. Andrew Wright had already been booked when he saw a 2nd yellow card for this challenge on Miles Weston. Despite being down to 10 men for the remainder of the game, the Iron held on for a point, and in doing so, kept their first clean sheet in 25 matches.
A few weeks ago, Hartlepool were looking like invincibles, but after 5 league wins on the spin, it's now 3 straight defeats. The latest came at home to a rampant Wickham. After Ben Streven's shot was saved, Scott Donnelly gave Wanderers the lead. Some fancy footwork from Stuart Bevan led to Wickham's 2nd. A measure of the chairboys' growing confidence. This effort was Bevan's 7th of the campaign. Wanderers had lost 7 of their previous 9 in League One,
but put this result beyond doubt thanks to Sam Collins' comical own goal. The defender tucking away Danny Foster's cross. There was to be a consolation goal for the home side. Strevens was penalised for an 89th minute handball in the box. That cost Wycombe a clean sheet. Adam Boyd slotted home the penalty for Paul, but it was probably too little and definitely too late.
Yeovil have yet to beat a team in the top half of the league this season, and those struggles continued against Carlisle. The Glovers' cause wasn't helped by the dismissal of Flavian Belson in the first half. Belson's challenge on Tom Taiwo was deemed worthy of a second yellow. The Cumbrians made the extra body count. Yeovil's clearance only found Sunderland loanee Liam Noble, who showed Premier League quality to give his side the lead. The calibre of the celebration somewhat more dubious. The result was all but assured when debutant Marek Steck's clearance was returned with interest. John Paul McGovern was the first to react, leaving Steck flapping at thin air before tapping home for a second. There was still time to ensure the 340-mile trip back to Brunton Park would be a happy one. Danny Livesey headed in to pile on the misery for Yeovil, who drop into the relegation zone.
Colchester came flying out of the blocks in their match at Rochdale. Ian Henderson fired them 1-0 up after just 3 minutes. Just over 10 minutes later, it was 2-0 as Coyote Odejayi doubled the visitors' advantage after latching on to a cross from Brian Wilson. At this stage, the U's were riding the crest of a wave, but their task got harder when Magnus Okwongai brought down Jean-Louis Akpa-Akpro. He saw red and the tide shifted. John Ward changed formation as Colchester looked to shore up their defence, but buoyed by their numerical advantage, Rochdale pulled one back before half-time. Nicky Adams floated in the cross, and Marcus Holness was on hand to head home and set up what promised to be a blockbuster of a second half. And just when it looked as if Ward's side had done enough to secure the points, Gary Jones fired home an equaliser with 2 minutes remaining to stretch both sides' unbeaten run to 4 matches.
It was a local lad who settled Tranmere's game with Oldham, Everton loanee Jose Baxter. His 17th minute effort took a nick off Enoch Shawunmi, and both men celebrated. But should this one go before the dubious goals panel, it's Baxter that has the better case.
Orient's October resurgence has seen them slowly but surely claw their way off the bottom of the table and up to 21st place. 1 goal was all they needed to beat the Shakers. Dean Cox provided it, converting David Mooney's cross. Bury were unbeaten in 3 and playing with plenty of confidence. And having had an Effie Sodgy header cleared off the line, Bury gave Orient a late scare. Michael Jones' header rattling the woodwork, but Russell Slade's side hung on for all 3 points and a 3rd straight league win.
Well, the standout result has got to be Stevenage ending Charlton's unbeaten start to the season. Well, they've beaten Sheffield Wednesday 5-1 already. You get the impression Graham Westley enjoys going toe-to-toe with some of the bigger sides in this division.
He certainly does. He relishes it, and so do his players. You know, they've stuttered of late. You know, and poor result last week when they missed a late penalty. But you know, Stacey Long got a good goal. He's an ex-Charlton player as well. That would have pleased him as well. But Charlton, you know, they've the first loss. You know, Chris Powell, I'm sure, would have expected it at some time. They'll come back from that.
What a great few days for Jordan Rhodes at Huddersfield. He's got 2 hat-tricks for club and country in 10 days. Takes his tally to, believe it or not, 10 goals in the last 4 games for club and country. It's a purple patch he's going to do well to replicate again.
It's absolutely flying. Well, and they flew down to this game apparently, and it did them the world of good. And it's a perfect hat-trick as well. The right foot, great left foot strike there, and a header to finish it off. And you know, at the moment, they can do no wrong, can they?
First away win for 2 months for Wycombe Wanderers. I think Gary Waddock, however, is going to put on hold his search for a proven goal scorer, because this one is a gem.
It's a lovely finish from Stuart Bevan. The double drag. I didn't know he had that in his locker, in all honesty, but double drag back and just deceived the goalkeeper going in at the near post, and a good away win for Wycombe. They needed that.
Notts County are flying up the table, aren't they? I mean, they've got their 8th win in 13 games. Suddenly, talk of promotion may not be as far-fetched as some may have thought.
Absolutely not, especially when your strikers are scoring goals. I think Burgess scores today, Hawley's starting to score, Lee Hughes will always score, and I think the most important thing is that Martin, I hope he doesn't mind me saying, just seems to have matured in the way he manages a football club. You know, all the attention seemed to be on Martin when he's at clubs previously. Now it's all on the players, and he's letting them do the talking for him, and they've been an absolute credit for him.
It's been a tough period for Walsall to get a first win in 8 against one of the league's favourite for promotion in Preston. That's no mean feat. Dean Smith will be a happy man this evening. He'll want to bottle some of that spirit, won't he?
He certainly will. When they went 1-0 up, I thought, well, they might throw it away again. And certainly when I saw the sending off after 70-odd minutes, but they didn't. They held out against a good Preston side, let's be honest, and that'll give Dean a real boost to know that they can get the lead and hold on to it, because they haven't done that in games previously.
Wobble for Preston. Phil Brown, no doubt, will want to get back to winning ways as soon as possible. Now, the Football League's form team going into the weekend were League 2 leaders Southend United, who'd won their last 6 games in all competitions. Clem joined the bumper crowd at Roots Hall on Saturday for the visits of fellow promotion chasers Morecambe.
It's not been a spectacular past few years for Southend United, both on and off the pitch. But there's nothing quite like getting a few wins under their belts to put smiles back on faces at Roots Hall. The architect of their success is a man well versed with getting his teams promoted. Paul Sturrock has managed it with St Johnstone, Plymouth Argyle, Sheffield Wednesday and Swindon Town. Paul. And the early signs are that he may be about to do it again. Did you get a feeling in the summer that this might be your year?
It was dependent on what signings we managed to make in the summer that was going to be a deciding factor of how we were going to perform this year.
You're coming up to 20 years as a manager now, but you still clearly absolutely love it.
It's the day-to-day stuff. That's the great thing about it, being on the training ground. It's still being on the training ground. A lot of managers at my age kind of take a back seat in it, but I'm saying I'm pleased I can still walk out every morning.
The beard's gone, son. The beard's gone. The beard's gone.
I feel 2 stone lighter.
Footballer in smart car, shock. 4th time playing for your old man. Come on, what's it like?
When we're at the training ground and we're at the stadium, there's not much father-son stuff going on. You know what I mean? There's no daddies. Daddy, when am I getting on? Or Daddy, I'm knackered. Take me off. You know what I mean? No. When I say he sleeps it and he eats it and he just, he dreams it. I'm not exaggerating. I think that's it's constant. It's the biggest thing obviously in his life.
Not that the locals need too much encouragement, but with the club announcing a footy for a £5 initiative for this match, they're anticipating their best crowd for nearly 2 years. I'm having that. Well, the start of last season, you staving off a winding up order.
Yeah.
Now look, top of the league, bumper
well.
crowd today. I mean, how quickly things change in football.
Yeah, it's been good. See, me and Paul had a chat in January when I came in, changed the philosophy. Well, I think we changed the philosophy for the football pitch, and so different players coming in, which is good. Different type of players coming in, different character, things picking up. Paul's had consistency now; he's had a run at it. Things are coming together.
There's a little bit of pressure there to succeed and not be a failure. So, usual football banter.
I thought you'd had your Roy of the Rovers moment at Millwall. There you go again with your boyhood idols. It's a great, cracking little story.
Well, it is. I had 11 great years at Millwall, and it's in my heart now. Millwall's in my blood. I've come here for a new challenge. It's the Saturday afternoon buzz. It's the walking out that pitch at 5 to 3. With 10,000 people. That's what I want. I didn't want to be sitting on the bench. I didn't want to be sitting in the stand where my teammates are playing.
Now, there's a slight problem. How do we spell Morecambe? M-O-R-C-O-M. What are they? This Morecambe? You sure? This Morecambe?
Town. Rangers.
It's a difficult game today, but I'm very confident that we can we can get the proper result and keep this run going.
With the Shrimpers banging in the goals this season, it was perhaps surprising that this match was goalless at half-time. However, it took just 8 minutes of the second period for the deadlock to be broken. Luis Alessandro ran with intent and was allowed to pick out Phil Jevons, who gave the visitors the lead. Jevons clearly enjoyed that one, but 20 minutes later he went from hero to villain. An apparently innocuous challenge on Michael Timlin led to a free kick to the visitors. However, it was for his reaction that Jevons was punished. Timlin and Anthony Grant were keen to take the free kick quickly, but the Morecambe striker had other ideas. The scuffle led to a push on Grant, and Jevons was shown a straight red card. The anguish on his face was clear for all to see. It meant the away side would have to hold on for 15 minutes with 10 men, and it didn't take long for Paul Sturrock's side to capitalise. Stuart Drummond look away now. Sean Clorisy whipped the ball in, and Drummond diverted past a helpless Barry Roach to level the scores 7 minutes from time.
Well, last season we'd have lost that game. They made us sterner stuff this year. First half was a bit of a non-event, they made it very difficult for us and we didn't help ourselves. And I got to put my hand up in the second half. I made a kind of faux pas with how we came out system-wise, and we left ourselves too open. They had a chance and then they scored with one. Sometimes managers have got to admit to making mistakes, but as I said, when the two substitutions come on and we showed a bit of zest, the players did much better.
So Southend extend their unbeaten run to 7 in all competitions. Is there an art here behind what Paul Sturrock does, Leroy, in terms of building clubs up and then trying to see them over that finishing line?
Yeah, it's all about player recognition with Paul. His identification of players is exceptional, especially at that level. He did it with Plymouth, and I was down the road and I nicked a couple of the ones that he didn't want.
Yeah. You make no apologies.
No, I certainly don't. But he's done it for many years, and he's very good at it. It was no surprise when I saw that he put a team together at Southend and that they're doing so well.
Does he have a point to prove after what happened at Southampton? He's proven at this level, surely.
Paul always wants to prove something to himself. I don't think he's got anything to prove to anybody else, but to himself. He loves the challenge of it. And, when he took the job at Southend, I was surprised because he'd had an illness as well. I thought he might want to just come out of it. Take it easy. No, not Paul Sturrock. And he enjoys the challenge and he's relishing it at the moment.
Yeah, good luck to him. So a draw then for Paul Sturrock's side. As for the teams desperately trying to overhaul Southend at the top, well, two of them met at the Broadfield, with second place Crawley up against Shrewsbury, who started the day in fourth.
Crawley Town returned to the top of League Two after Steve Evans' side shrugged off a flu epidemic to beat Shrewsbury. Sergio Torres' 14th minute opener was the perfect pick-me-up for the Red Devils, several of whom were laid low in the week. Not that you would have known it from Crawley's energetic display. Town dominated this top-of-the-table clash. Dean Howell celebrated his return from injury with a second goal just before half-time. A fifth win in a row, Crawley felt the final scoreline didn't reflect their superiority. Mark Wright pulled one back for Shrewsbury late on. That took the shine off things for Town, whose promotion challenge looks in rude health.
It's a real difficult league, as we found out today. Shrewsbury are an excellent side, and we all know, and probably Graham would accept at half-time, we should have been 4 or 5 up here today, but if you don't get that third goal and kill the opposition off, it comes back.
Wimbledon's stay in the top 3 was a brief one as they met a Crewe side who made the most of their chances. The Dons didn't. Christian Jolly guilty of missing an open net. It was a memorable day for Nick Powell, who scored his first goal in professional football. It was the kind of strike that Alex manager Dario Gradi said he'd seen Powell score plenty of times for the club's academy. The home side upped their performance and levelled on the hour mark. Lee Minshall set up Jolly, who this time couldn't miss. One apiece and game on. The equaliser galvanised the visitors and they were to strike the next blow, a telling one. Ashley Westwood crossed for Adam Dugdale, who headed home to put the Railway men back in front. The Dons threw everything forward in search of an equaliser and they were hit by a sucker punch 2 minutes from time. Westwood releasing AJ Leach-Smith. His finish didn't disappoint as the Alex claim a good away win.
Oxford have won their last 3 matches away from home and were looking to strengthen their promotion push with a 4th straight win on their travels. But the home side took the lead on the hour. After a game of ping-pong in the box, Tony Diagne eventually found the net. After back-to-back victories, the Silk men were looking to win 3 on the spin for the first time in more than 3 years, and they were seconds away from doing just that. But deep into stoppage time, Robert Hall's deflected shot levelled the scores. Oxford now unbeaten in 8.
On Friday, Cheltenham made it 4 wins in a row with an impressive performance at Burton. Luke Garbutt's inviting cross 30 seconds into the second half was gleefully converted by Josh Lowe, and suddenly Albion were on their way to a first home defeat of the season. Following Qaid Mohammed's 64th minute run, it was left to Jimmy Spencer to confirm the points with his 3rd goal in as many league matches. On this evidence, a push for automatic promotion could well be within the Robins' reach.
Port Vale were first out of the traps at Vale Park on Friday night. Doug Loft's 5th minute corner found Tom Pope, who did enough to claim the first goal of the game. That header continued their good run, setting a new club record, having hit the net in each of the first 16 matches. Vale's second, in what manager Mickey Adams described as a superb first half performance, was more resounding. Midfielder Anthony Griffith hadn't scored in almost a year. With confidence high, they were looking to take advantage of a Cobblers side who were staring back-to-back defeats in the face. That loss was rubber-stamped before the break. After several failed attempts to clear the ball, centre-back John McComb was unchallenged and made no mistake. Vale claimed the points to briefly climb into the playoff places.
It's more than a year since Torquay have lost back-to-back matches, but after defeat at Bradford last time out, there was a real danger of them doing just that, and it looked ominous when Joe Kaffour scored his first Gills goal after just 6 minutes. Kaffour spent 4 years as a Torquay player, but showed no sympathy for his former club when he doubled his and his side's tally 6 minutes before half-time. Torquay have a proud home record stretching back to last season with only 1 defeat at Plainmoor in 17 matches, and they got back into this contest just 2 minutes after the break when defender Chris Robertson halved the deficit. And just 4 minutes later, the comeback was complete. Danny Stevens was on hand to convert a Rennie Howe cross. At 2-2, Gills manager Andy Hessenthaler said he could only see 1 winner, and his side were given the chance to retake the lead from the penalty spot after Kaffour was fouled by Union O'Kane. Luke Rooney converted from 12 yards to re-establish the away side's lead. As Torquay looked for another equaliser, they were susceptible to the counter-attack, which is exactly what happened 12 minutes from time, as the Gills went from one end to the other to make it 4-2. Rooney's surging run teeing up West Ham loanee Frank Nouble to score his 3rd Gillingham goal. By this stage the game was up, but there was still time for Chris Whelpdale to put the icing on the cake, his impressive turn and chip, completing a comprehensive victory and leaving Torquay without a win in 7.
Friday saw a spectacular return to winning ways for Bristol Rovers. Scott McLeish, spearheading a new 3-man strike force, gave the Pirates an early lead. On loan, Scott Rendell was offering Rovers another attacking option. When he fell under Johnny Mullin's challenge, the Gas were awarded a 29th minute penalty. McLeish, the main beneficiary of Rovers' new look, helped himself to a 4th goal of the season. Rovers extended their lead 3 minutes later, Kean Bolger netting from an improbable angle. It was breathless stuff at the Memorial Ground. A Rotherham revival began when Jason Taylor pulled one back 7 minutes before the interval. Danny Schofield's goal just the other side of the break also lifted the Millers' hopes, but disaster was about to strike. Guy Branston rejoined Rotherham on loan on Friday, declaring he was fed up warming the bench at Bradford. He'll be a spectator again for the next few weeks. That 2-footer earned Branston a straight red. Less than a minute later, Rovers made the point safe. Defender Lee Brown ensuring that Paul Buckle's side would end a run of 4 consecutive defeats. The Pirates' biggest win under Buckle's management was confirmed late on. Substitute Joe Anienza found himself in a scarcely credible amount of space before contributing something even more unlikely. An effort that literally broke the net. It left Anienza looking sheepish and Rotherham on the wrong end of the result for a 5th successive week.
Having taken the wrong turn on a fun run this week, Swindon boss Paolo Di Canio completed a half marathon. It was no worse for wear for the 13.1-mile adventure. His side made the early running at Accrington. Birmingham lone striker Jake Jervis made the most of this chance, notching his 3rd of the month. This week, Di Canio paid a visit to his former club West Ham to sign Colombian striker Christian Montano for a month. With the finish line in sight, the highly rated youngster drilled home a debut goal to claim all 3 points for the Robins.
With 4 defeats on the bounce for Barnet and 3 losses in a row for Aldershot, someone's losing streak had to come to an end at Underhill, and it was the away side that struck first when Danny Hilton fired home his 10th goal of the season in the 27th minute. Half-time acted as something of a wake-up call for Barnet, who were given the chance to level just after the hour. Ben Hurd brought down Steve Cabba, who dusted himself down to level the scores. Cabba was only introduced as a substitute at half-time, but he was having a big impact on proceedings. The home side went in search of a winner and almost found it when Mark Marshall beat the goalkeeper Ross Warner, but not Anthony Straker, who deflected his shot onto the woodwork. And with just over 10 minutes remaining, the Bees ensured it was the Shots' winless run that continues when Ricky Holmes scored his 3rd goal in 3 matches after Isaac McLeod had seen his shot saved. After the game, Shots boss Dean Holdsworth didn't speak to the press, but his mood could have been different had Luke Gutteridge's deflected shot looped a couple of inches lower. As it was, the Bees held on for a confidence-boosting win.
Plymouth's last away win came at Dagenham in League One. Things have been unravelling at both clubs ever since. But the Pilgrims are progressing under Carl Fletcher, not least 16-year-old Matt LeQuant, who now has a first senior goal. The youthful Argyle doubled their lead 7 minutes after half-time. Conor Hourahan, a relative veteran at 20, opening his Plymouth account with a screamer. But the Pilgrims still have plenty to improve upon, particularly their defending of set pieces. The Daggers found a route back into this game via the head of Scott Doe. 10 minutes later, they struck again. John Nurse at the far post, and Plymouth surrendering a 2-goal lead for the 2nd game in a row. But this time there was a sting in the tail. Substitute Isaac Vassell got away from Damien McCrory, who hauled him down in the box. A red card was his reward, a penalty was Plymouth's. Simon Walton converted the spot kick to make it 7 points out of 12 for rookie boss Fletcher, for whom the management learning curve isn't as steep as was previously feared.
The defining moment of this game came 11 minutes from time. Harry Bell's strong run was ended by Bradford's Michael Flynn. Although Flynn only appeared to make accidental contact, the referee felt it was worth a 2nd yellow card. If the Bantams felt the punishment was harsh, the Bulls' Stephen Leslie rubbed salt in the wound from the free kick. A perfect strike to beat Matt Duke. Jamie Pittman's side had only taken 3 points at Edgar Street all season, and victory was assured in the final minute. For the 2nd game in a row, Blackpool loanee Tom Barkhausen got on the score sheet, enabling the Hereford fans to enjoy a rare home win.
Oh, we saw their great wins for the bottom 2. Plymouth thought they were moving off the bottom thanks to that late penalty against Dagenham and Redbridge. Before they know it then, at Hereford, they go ahead and win as well.
Yeah, but they can't worry about what's happening in other places. They've got to sort themselves out, and they did there with a great result. And Hereford also got a great result. Steve Leslie getting the goal. You know, Gary Peters has gone there, great organiser, so he'll certainly be a help there. And you know, you just feel that these two sides have just got to just concentrate on picking up points, and consistently, which they haven't done this season. And if they do that, then they get out of trouble without worrying about what other people are doing.
Goal just nicked at the end there, pushed over the line. Well, as for Steve Evans at Crawley, well, he wanted a monster performance against Shrewsbury. He certainly got one. I mean, this is terrific. This is a real marker against a team that's been there or thereabouts in recent years.
Well, he built this game up, and he built Shrewsbury up as well. He said it was their biggest game of the season, and he's right. And it just seems that Tom Eastman has come in from Colchester on loan. They just extended his loan, and that's culminated them you know, not conceding as many goals and picking up results on a consistent basis. It's still early in the season though. I'm sure Shrewsbury will come back, and those two sides will be there or thereabouts coming in the season, I'm sure.
Now, knowing Dario Gradi, he won't be getting too carried away, but the fans will be, and quite rightly so, because they've beaten a side in AFC Wimbledon who quite easily could have ended the day top.
Certainly, and you know, Dario against his old side, well, let's say, you know, Wimbledon, his old side,
he managed
many years ago, you know, where his career started, and now he's been at Crewe, so that would give him a lot of satisfaction as well.
Incredible performances too from Gillingham, and especially Bristol Rovers on Friday. I mean, 5 goals each. They'll be delighted.
They will do. Joke before getting to it, Torquay. I wasn't surprised at that. I signed him for Torquay. You know, it always happens that way. So, you know, good results for both those teams.
Right, before we sign off then, let's take a look at the league tables after Saturday's results. Starting with NPAL League 2, Crawley back on top after their win and Southend's draw. Oxford and Cheltenham move above Shrewsbury and AFC Wimbledon after the weekend's results, although all 4 teams are now on 23 points. Morecambe make up the top 7. It's tough on Plymouth and Hereford, as we mentioned. They remain in the bottom 2 despite their wins on Saturday, but they were much needed victories nonetheless as they stay in touch with those teams above them. Barnet also recorded a good home win against Aldershot. Charlton lost their unbeaten record, but they stayed top of League 1. Huddersfield are a point behind and are now the only unbeaten side in the division. Notts County move into 3rd. And remember, it's the Steel City derby on Sunday, and that's at Bramall Lane. Exeter, Yeovil and Chesterfield all suffered heavy home defeats this weekend. Leyton Orient win again, but remain in the bottom 4. Wycombe's win at Hartlepool sees them move out of the relegation zone for the first time in over a month. West Ham were the big winners of the day in the NPAL Championship. Today, well, they were the only team in the top 6 to pick up all 3 points. Leeds and Palace also had good away wins over the weekend. Leicester, meanwhile, have got a chance to move into 5th if they can beat Birmingham at St Andrews on Sunday. Millwall's draw and Coventry's win is enough to move both of them out of the bottom 3, and they're replaced by Nottingham Forest and Doncaster. After those 2 sides lost, Bristol City stayed bottom with only 1 point from their last possible 18. Now, the usual reminder, if you missed any of tonight's goals, don't forget the show is on Freeview until 2:25 and on the red button until 6 o'clock in the morning. Otherwise, failing that, it's on the iPlayer all week. But if you're only after extended match highlights, well, they'll be online shortly, courtesy of the BBC Sport website. Now then, there's plenty of football to bring you on Sunday. I mentioned the game at St Andrews. Well, I'm hot-footing it there for Birmingham City's lunchtime encounter with Leicester City, and you can see all the action live on BBC One. And we kick off at 10 to 1. And as usual, Colin will bring you the best of the day's action from the Premier League in Match of the Day 2. That's at 10 o'clock on 2, including highlights of another Midlands derby between West Brom and Wolves. Right, I better hit that motorway. Leroy, thanks for your company tonight. I'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye.